everyone. My name is Rory Galway. My full title is Manager Equal Opportunities and Technical Training with Bombardier Aerospace. I've been asked to say a few words about our experience of dealing with equality issues down the years, and to maybe tie in some points in the report before us today. First of all, about myself, I've been with the company over 20 years. October 91 I joined, directly from what was then the Fair Employment Commission. So I've spent a long time in the field of equality. I have a number of responsibilities in the company, equal opportunities being the prime one, providing advice to all employees, whether management, office, shop floor, on equality issues. I also have specific responsibilities for the apprentice training programme, which is the technical training part of my title. And I also have people reporting to me who deliver outreach activities into schools and colleges across Northern Ireland through our full-time education officer and our equality officer. The advice I give is in relation to all sorts of queries about recruitment and selection, about promotions, about terminations, and basically everything that sits in between those sort of major employment issues. As a company and as Short Brothers, as we then were back in the 80s, that's when our equal opportunity efforts first started, and I would love to sit here and tell you that we started off on our own bat. We didn't. We had the foot of the Fair Employment Agency in our back, to be honest with you, like most employers at that time. But there were the issues that were raised primarily through an engineering inquiry report which was produced in the early 1980s. But also through a number of complaints of religious discrimination made against the company. It's easier for me to sit here and say we weren't found guilty of discrimination in any of those. That wasn't the point. The pressure that those cases, the pressure that the engineering inquiry put on us, made management of the company take a step back and say, well, what's going on here? We think we're fair employers. We think we don't discriminate. But maybe things aren't right. And certainly the statistics of Catholic representation and indeed female representation in the company told its own story. So we started to take a lot of steps, and we addressed many issues internally. And the sort of stuff now that people in this room, I suspect, everyone in this room, I suspect, regard as standard practice in terms of good recruitment and selection and promotion processes, standard application forms, assessment procedures, marking procedures, ranking lists, and lots more. They weren't standard procedures back in the 1980s. And that, as a company, that is what Shorts sat down and looked at. The critical issue for the company was we need the best people. But at the time, even Short Brothers was in survival mode. At the time Bombardier took Shorts over in 1989, the company was sort of within 2 steps of going out of existence. It was a different mindset. It was simply survival, and it wasn't a healthy situation to be in, and people were simply trying to protect themselves. With Bombardier's acquisition of us in 1989, I'm not going to tell you things turned overnight, but though Bombardier brought their own particular eyes to bear as a very competitive-minded organisation, and one that demanded success. And they did not want things such as equal opportunity issues becoming a barrier. They didn't want them swept under the carpet. They wanted them resolved. To be frank, the notion of religious discrimination just spun their heads around. They didn't understand that at all. But they did come from a divided society in Quebec. And therefore they understood the sort of issues that were at the back of this. In terms of the internal environment, as I say, we brought in practices, policies, procedures and practices which we thought were best practice, but we kept working at them. And like most people in this room, we wouldn't say we're perfect, certainly not. We're still working on those policies and procedures to make them better. We addressed the issues with our trade union colleagues in the company. Not always easy conversations, and so that's not a kick at trade unions at all. I'm talking about management being nasty people on occasions. But there were difficulties. They had to represent their membership, and that's absolutely fine. But we started those conversations, we kept them going. And one of the major issues for us was in 1988, indeed before Bombardier took us over, was to introduce or bring into effect a joint declaration of protection under the fair employment legislation. That was management and trade unions saying that people were entitled to work in our company free from any form of harassment. Does that mean that harassment automatically stops? No, it doesn't. But it means that there's a message sent out to people in the company and the further field that those sorts of behaviours, those sorts of attitudes won't be tolerated. One of the big issues for us is, and I'm not talking specifically about cases against this company, but tribunal decisions in relation to harassment on any ground, religion, sectarian, sex, race, whatever. The tribunals tend to take a view, a zero tolerance view. That is what we have tried to do. I'm not going to sit here and say that we've always been 100% successful, but that's what we've tried to do. It's difficult in a workforce which then was 7,500, currently it's 5,000 in Northern Ireland, but it's something that we have tried to do to eliminate the sort of environment where people would feel free to express the type of views that are antagonistic towards people of exhibiting any form of difference. The issues for us that are still live, religion and gender, equality issues are still there. As a sort of, I suppose, a practical issue dealing with people who have or who may have disabilities, and indeed people on whom we have to place restrictions so that they cannot do some or maybe all of the duties of their post. That's presenting us with difficulties, and it's something that we're working through with our own occupational health department and with external bodies. To pick up a couple of points from the report, like other speakers, a bit surprised at the strength of some of the negative attitudes towards some of the groups in our society, the hardening of attitudes that we've talked about. I have to say, I think like Francis, I'm a bit surprised at the negative attitude towards people with mental health issues. It may be that there was some sort of lack of understanding of the terminology. I don't know, but that's still concerning. I have to say there's one of the things I do is I give briefings to people who will be involved in recruitment and selection interviews, and I get to a point in my presentation where I say, if you have a particular prejudice against working mothers, against blacks, against whatever, I'd really like you to put your hand up now. It won't surprise you, nobody's ever put their hand up. But we're flagging up to them, look, if you feel that you're unsuitable for this role, tell us and we'll take you out of it. What I've seen in this report will direct my question a wee bit more, not just about gender, religion, sort of the big ones in Northern Ireland, so to speak, but to other groupings in society against whom there appear to be some fairly negative views. I'm also surprised at the fact that it seems that only 1 in 3 people are aware that gender is protected under legislation. Just surprising, nothing more than that. But to finish on a positive, noting that 69% would like to see more women in management positions, this actually ties in with an initiative begun in Bombardier Aerospace, company-wide, and I'm talking about 26,000 odd employees around the world, our Diversity and Inclusion Committee. And there's a separate committee of senior vice presidents who are overseeing this work. I sit in the working committee side of things with colleagues in North America, Mexico, and other areas as well. And one of the particular issues for us is women in leadership, and therefore to see that there's a sizable proportion of the population supporting the notion of women in management is great, and I carry that back to the committee. There's 30% need work on, I recognise, but we hope we'll do that. And to finish off, I think one of the issues that the change that has come about in our company, it's an ongoing change. We have what we call the Achieving Excellence system, and I'm not going to go into the detail. I'll probably pass my time now, but anyway, it's based on production, because that's what we are. We're an engineering and a production company. But it is applied to all units in our company, the human resources, the finance, the methods engineering, the production, operation side of things. And it is our way, and it involves daily meetings to analyse issues under quality, safety, productivity, cost, human development, which includes human resources. Any issues that we need to deal with and dealt with quickly, we are looking at them on a daily basis. Some, of course, take longer resolution, but that's the approach we're taking. And I'm just emphasising human development is part of that. And I noted and I'm not going to claim I've read every word in this report by any means, but as I was glancing through it on page 119, it says, it's generally accepted that improving access to and progression within employment is seen as a key driver of economic and social well-being and presents a key route to improve social mobility and inclusion, as well as a route out of poverty. That seems to tie in with our approach and our own company survey, employee survey, which we carry out on an annual basis, where we talk about engagement and enablement of our employees, so that we're talking about how they can make themselves better, selfish, to help the company, but also to help themselves provide for the future. And I'll really finish up with a question. While there are some disappointing issues in the report that we've seen, that Darren has reported on, I'll leave us all with a question. If people, including very many people in this room, if not all of us, hadn't been working on these issues down the years, what would the survey results be telling us? Thank you.